What up, football fans, and welcome to Seize the Day. I'm Isaac Wheeler. Today we're going to be discussing a little bit of postseason Bengals news. So we're going to start off with that last game of the season. Real good game, way to pull out a win over the Steelers that was needed. Unfortunately, the Chiefs were afraid to face us in the playoffs, and I don't care what anybody says. They were resting their starters or whatever. They had a week off. 2 weeks is a very, very, very long time to rest your starters. Um, they just Broncos are easier to beat in the playoffs than the Bengals are, and do I believe that the Broncos have really put together a really amazing season, considering their roster and everything. Yes, I do, especially the rookie quarterback. But if you saw any of the Bills and Broncos game today, you just know that they did not have what it took to win a playoff game yet. I do not believe that they will win a playoff game next year, possibly. That really just all depends on how they do in the draft, and depending on how, if Bo Nix develops very well during this offseason, I do believe that they will be able to come out and win a playoff game, maybe, possibly. But look at us. We were making the playoffs, doing good in the playoffs, and then we haven't been in the playoffs in 2 years with 9-8 records. So who knows, really? But Trey Hendrickson was named AFC Defensive Player of the Week for that last week of the NFL, so that was cool. And then Joe Burrow was named Offensive Player of the Month with almost 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns just in the month of December. So that really puts into perspective how much better we've been playing in this past month. Jamar Chase did Triple Crown, so that's awesome. Joe Burrow was the passing leader, and Trey Hendrickson was a sack leader across the league. So that's really good for the team. It's tough to believe that we didn't make the playoffs with all three of those players having such great seasons. Jamar Chase putting up Triple Crown numbers, Joe Burrow putting up MVP numbers, Trey Hendrickson making a campaign for Defensive Player of the Year. It's insane. It truly is. And then Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson both made first-team All-Pro. They both had those awards. So that was cool. And then, so that's all the awards, award-wise. Unfortunately, some coaches did leave. We parted ways. We ended up firing Lou Anarumo, which shocks me a little bit because Lou Anarumo, I feel like, is a pretty good defensive coordinator overall. And I know our defense just was not up to standards this year, especially this year. I do believe that it was a very young defense. I know that there was a couple veterans, a lot of 2-year players, and a few new players out there throughout the season, but they had never played together really. Von Bell had played in that defense before, but not with all those players. And Geno Stone new this year, Chris Jenkins new this year. So just a lot of new players in this defense that haven't really built up that chemistry yet. I do believe that going forward, if we can continue to work them and they continue to grow good chemistry, then we will have a very good defense next year. Because they all had moments, like they would all go out there and make plays, but then just kind of, fall apart. And I do believe that building up chemistry and developing, it's going to make a difference. Cam Taylor-Britt, for example, is a great example of this. He, towards that first half of the season especially, he was getting up like a long touchdown every game, and then he would have really good moments where he could make insane interceptions and such. And he is only a 2-year player. This is only his sophomore season, so I do believe that going forward he will develop into a top corner. I really do. We've seen flashes of brilliance from him, and I do believe that he can develop into a top corner in the league. So we ended up losing Lou Anarumo, the defensive line coach, and the offensive line coach as well. So those were a couple new coaching positions that they're looking to be filled at the moment. So that's going to be interesting to see who ends up in those spots and where those coaches end up, especially Lou Anarumo, because he had been offered head coaching jobs in the past. So he might end up somewhere. So that's gonna be interesting to watch. As for other Ohio teams, though, at least we have one team in this region to root for. Ohio State did end up beating Tennessee. If you did not see that, and no, it's not quite Bengals, not even NFL, but growing up in this region, also big Ohio State fan, so I had to throw this in. So they'll play Notre Dame next week or in the coming week, so that's gonna be a good game. But back to the NFL, that just totally got me on a side note. But for the playoffs, the Eagles won for the NFC. The Texans beat the Chargers. I was not prepared for that. I thought the Chargers would be able to beat the Texans. And then the Bills beat the Broncos. Not shocking there. So there was a couple good games. All in all. So that'll be interesting to see who goes out. And of course, next weekend the divisional game with the Bills and the Chiefs is gonna be amazing. That matchup, that and the Chiefs Bengals games are always ones that you do not want to miss, even if you're freaking NFC fan of the Saints. I mean, you could not care less about either of those teams. If you're a Steelers fan, Browns fan, Raiders fan, you want to watch the Chiefs, Bills, and Chiefs and Bengals games because those games always turn out to be insane games. Usually pretty good at scoring games and just a lot of back and forth. So, yeah, thanks for watching and who